this week's drive, we head off track for the scenic route at Daytona. Play skittles in an all Japan, all fall down. See the riders from Spain reign in Russia. And look at the concept car that's not. All this and more in this week's Drive. The Qatar International Rally, second round of the Middle East Rally Championship, took place in and around Doha. Local driver Nasser Al-Attiyah was aiming for a fourth consecutive victory. Car 2 was driven by his arch-rival Sheikh Khalid Al-Qasimi. Al-Attiyah started his home event in good form, having already won the United Arab Emirates International Rally, the first event of the season. Al-Attiyah, partnered by British co-driver Chris Patterson, had the best possible start in his new Subaru Impreza, winning the first stage and moving 5.2 seconds ahead of the field after the opening day's 8 stages. The 2004 champion, Sheikh Khalid Al-Qasimi, was forced out with a broken steering arm joint after just 2 stages, the same problem that put him out last year. His older brother, Sheikh Abdul Al-Qasimi, was more successful. He finished the first day in second place, but dropped back to 4th place by the end of the rally. Misfa Al-Mari was also in the tight battle for second place. The Qatari driver was in a new Mitsubishi Evo 9. Al-Mari finished day 1 third, just 13 seconds behind Sheikh Abdullah. The second day saw a change in the windy and dusty conditions, with many wet sections close to the coast north of Doha. Khalifa Al-Attiyah, who retired in the first rally of the season, had a big improvement, finishing third, the same as last year. Misfa Al-Mari was slowed by a puncture on the first stage, but recovered to finish second overall, his best ever result in an international rally. But with Sheikh Khalid Al-Qasimi sidelined early and finishing only 11th, nobody could catch Al-Attiyah. And at the head of the field, the 34-year-old was able to extend his lead out to a massive 7 minutes and 5 seconds for his 4th successive Qatar Rally victory. Misfa Al-Mari was second, another 7 minutes ahead of Khalifa Al-Attiyah. Nasser Al-Attiyah's victory maintains his 100% record in the Middle East Championship for 2006, with 2 wins out of 2. With Al-Attiyah coming home third behind Al-Mari, it was the first time that Qatari drivers had occupied all 3 places on the podium. The top 12 teams were all either in Subarus or Mitsubishis. A packed field rolled up for the start of the 48th Daytona 500. On lap 27, Matt Kenseth was on the outside when Tony Stewart drifted up the banking. He collided with Kenseth, but straightened out. Stewart didn't have the same control 22 laps later when he tapped Jeff Gordon from behind. Both cars brushed the wall, and Gordon made an impressive save. The yellow caution flags flew for a much bigger pile-up that occurred on lap 80 when Jeff Gordon lost control and slid up the track, collecting Carl Edwards, Kyle Petty, JJ Yelly and Joe Nemechek. Edwards ended up hooked to Petty's car and rode on top of it for some distance as Petty's left rear wheel and body panel were ripped off the car.
Of the 45, the 99 car just knocked off the tire and the quarter panel of the left rear.
Stewart made a hard left turn into Kenseth's car on lap 107. Kenseth recovered and officials penalised Stewart, ordering him to the back of the field. The punishment dropped him from 5th to 34th place.
The windshield.
That's when he was the lucky.
Despite warnings to both drivers to calm down, Kenseth swerved towards Stewart after a pit stop. It was unclear whether Kenseth made contact. He radioed his crew, claiming it didn't, but the move was enough for NASCAR to penalise him. On lap 187, Jamie McMurray put Kurt Busch into the wall, puncturing a rear tyre on Busch's car and ending his race. Just before the caution flag came out, and with 13 laps to go, Jimmy Johnson had taken the lead from his teammate, Brian Vickers. So, just 10 days after his crew chief was kicked out for illegally altering his car, Johnson was leading the first race of the season.
And then Bobby hits the wall.
And Denny Hamlin runs in the back.
McMurray then crashed with 7 laps to go, bringing out one final caution flag. It set up an overtime finish, but no one was able to challenge Johnson.
The caution is
under the yellow flags, Johnson got to the checkered one to claim the Daytona 500 on his 5th attempt. Ahead of the opening round of the World Superbike Championship in Losail in Qatar, the 2001 Superbike World Champion Troy Bayliss, who's returned to the sport after a 3-year spell in MotoGP, looked relaxed before the all-important Superpole round of qualifying. Bayliss had already announced his return to the championship in style by claiming provisional pole at the season opener in wet conditions in Qatar, after beating the rest of the field by nearly 2 seconds. Meanwhile, the mechanics worked furiously on the Suzuki of reigning world champion and fellow Australian Troy Corser. Once the Superpole session began, James Toseland of England claimed 4th fastest time on the second row of the grid. The 2004 world champion, who'd struggled badly during Thursday's rain and finished way down in 18th, was understandably delighted with 4th as the Honda finally managed to grip while cornering on his debut for the team. Elsewhere, Andrew Pitt of Australia took 3rd on his Yamaha YZF R1. Italian Lorenzo Lanzi rode his Ducati 999 to finish 2nd and on the front row of the grid, half a second off the pace of his teammate Bayliss. Lanzi earned his place in the factory team following 2 sensational wins in the closing rounds last year. Called into the squad to replace the injured Reggie Lacconi at the Euro Speedway, Lanzi made the most of his opportunity, setting pole position first time out on the bike, picking up his maiden win in race 2. He proved that this performance was no fluke, taking a 2nd win in the final race of the season at Magny-Cours. In contrast, Honda's Karl Mugarich crashed into the gravel trap after a fastest first sector on his timed flying lap. Looking every inch a potential pole position starter in earlier sessions, the frustrated Australian was forced to start from 8th on the grid. It was left to Bayliss to ensure a Team 1-2 on the grid, and he duly complied on his Ducati 999 F06 as he clocked 1 minute 59.69 seconds to become the only rider to go under 2 minutes, taking pole position and breaking the lap record in the process. Not a bad return for the former world champ after a disappointing few years in MotoGP. Soon enough, he was being mobbed in the Ducati team garage. On race day, the 5.3-kilometre track hosted the first of 15 two-race events in the 2006 season. Australia's Troy Corser, defending champion and winner here last year, was the pre-race favourite. Lorenzo Lanzi's race came to an early end when he crashed his Ducati on the 4th of the 18 laps. But the Italian walked away unhurt and went on to finish 6th in race 2. At the head of the field, the race turned into a Japanese duel between Yamaha's Noriyuki Haga and Yukio Kagayama riding a Suzuki. But with half a lap remaining, the Japanese pair crashed into each other. Haga went down first and skittled his countryman, much to the dismay of the Suzuki team. It left the way open for Toseland, who worked his way through the field after a slow start. Toseland resisted Ducati's Troy Bayliss to take the win. Australia's Andrew Pitt claimed his first career podium, coming 3rd for Yamaha, and Corser was 4th. Race 2 was no less hard-fought, but with less drama, as riders came to grips with the intense heat, harsh light and dusty track. The race saw another intriguing battle in the closing stages. This time it was the 2 Australians, Corser and Bayliss, who went head-to-head over the last 2 laps. Corser charged past Bayliss when the Ducati rider made a rare mistake on the final lap, going on to win by over a second. A photo finish gave Haga 3rd place over Toseland. Race winners Corser and Toseland are level on 38 points, but with 2 second-place finishes, Bayliss leads the standings after the opening round with 40 points. The second round of the season will be held at Phillip Island in Australia, where Corser, Bayliss, Pitt and several other Australian riders will be going all out to win in front of their home crowd. With barely 36 hours recovery time after the previous 6th round in Belfast, the 2006 Indoor Trials World Championship Tour had moved on to St. Petersburg in Russia for the 7th of this season's 12 rounds. Albert Kabastani took 3rd place. The Spanish Sherco rider finished with 15 penalty points, just one less than compatriot Tony Bow in 4th. Second place went to Spain's Jeroni Fajardo. The talented young gas rider finished with just 11 penalty points to his name. Out in front once again, though, was Fajardo's compatriot, the undisputed world #1, Adam Raga. Raga, the reigning outdoor world champion and the indoor world champion for the past 3 seasons, was a clear winner in St. Petersburg with only 5 penalty points on his gas, 6 less than Fajardo. Raga's 4th win of the season has consolidated his leadership at the top of the overall standings. With 62 points, he's 15 points clear of Kabastani. The fight is on for 2nd position, with 3 riders separated by only 7 points. Tony Bow is 2 points behind Kabastani, with Fajardo a further 5 points back in 4th place. The tour will now move back to Spain. The island of Menorca will host the 8th round of the season. While the world's Superbike boys have already started their season, most of the MotoGP teams were still involved in final, frantic pre-season testing. The Honda factory riders, Nicky Hayden and Dani Pedrosa, were both faster than at the last test. But Hayden had a rear-wheel grip problem and admitted that the feedback he gave the team was not up to his usual standard. Suzuki rider John Hopkins recorded the 4th fastest time, but teammate Chris Vermeulen finished down in 16th, and the Australian will be looking for an improvement. Makoto Tamada had to catch up with the other Honda riders, having missed 2 tests, but he worked on suspension and chassis settings, going 14th fastest. Another Honda rider, Casey Stoner, put in 13 laps before ending his day early, suffering with a shoulder strain from physical training. A MotoGP rookie, Stoner was 250cc runner-up last year. Ducati rider Loris Capirossi started on pole position for the Malaysian Grand Prix at Sepang a year ago, so a good performance was expected from the Italian. The end result, however, wasn't his best, and he finished 6th fastest. As has become the norm in the world of MotoGP, though, all eyes were on world champion Valentino Rossi and his Yamaha. But the Italian spent most of the session trying to iron out the vibration problems that bothered him in Qatar, and he had to settle for the 5th fastest time.
Yes, for sure, because we try to understand our improvement in one month of the new bike. We go last week stay in Qatar, and we tried the new bike on another track, and was good. Now we come here. We try to continue our development, and I'm happy about the bike. I think Yamaha make a great job during this winter. The bigger problem now is we have some hard vibration during the long corner, and this is quite bad for the lap time. But maybe we understand why, and in these 3 days we try to fix the problem for arrive ready at the first race.
American Colin Edwards was marginally faster than his 7 times world champion teammate, lapping in a time of 2 minutes and 2 seconds to finish behind the fastest pair, Marco Melandri and Dani Pedrosa. Double 250cc world champion Pedrosa used his first outing in full Honda livery to claim the 2nd fastest time behind Melandri. Starting off the day conservatively, the young Spaniard slowly upped the pace while testing tyres for Michelin and set the 2nd fastest lap of the session, suggesting that he'll be a major threat in his first full MotoGP season. Melandri ended up on top, but the young Italian struggled to get his Honda out of corners thanks to rear wheel spin. However, he did find improved feel from the front end, and Melandri's best lap was a 10th inside Caparossi's pole position time. The BMW Z4 Coupe concept car isn't really a design concept at all. It's a production car we'll see later this year. As the name implies, it's a two-door, two-seater Z4 Roadster with a fixed roof. The fixed top allows the engineers to make it both stiffer and lighter, so it should offer an even better drive. From the nose to the A-pillars, the Coupe and the Roadster are identical, but from there the changes build upon each other. The Coupe loses the Roadster's tiny boot in favour of an attractive hatchback. Despite its size, weight and complexity, the liftgate treatment makes you wonder whether the Z4 didn't start off with a roof and the Roadster was developed from it. The side profile is fast and sleek, and never has a hardtop looked so much better than a convertible. The Z4 Concept's body is painted with an unusual matte finish, which shows off its hard creases and strong lines, which suggest a milled from billet solidity. Wherever the car has been shown, everyone loved the paint, so BMW stylists will do what they can to get it into production as soon as possible. BMW already uses a similar treatment for some of its motorcycles. In the cabin, the interior materials are stunning. Everything you touch feels expensive and very well made. Soft nubuck leather instead of coarse plastic, anodized and lacquered aluminium instead of cold hard steel, and neatly detailed knobs, switches and buttons, rather than look-alike items from the parts bin. Only the instrumentation, using tiny X3 gauges sitting in deep holes, could do with a makeover to make them easier to read. The show car is equipped with the latest iteration of the magical 3-litre inline 6-cylinder engine that makes 255 horsepower, and the production version will be equipped with the same engine. Governed at 250 kilometres an hour, the Glacier Silver showpiece can reportedly accelerate from 0 to 100 in 5.7 seconds. The eventual M Coupe, which should get a 370 horsepower engine, will have Porsche 911 levels of performance. With the positive response that this concept car has received at shows around the world, it will probably not suffer the limited production run of the coupe version of the Z3. BMW's earlier attempts at fitting a hardtop onto a Roadster produced only 11,000 of the Z3 coupes. BMW at one time attributed the development of the Z3 Coupe to a group of rogue designers who built the car secretly in a barn. It's fair to expect that the eventual production version of the Z4 Coupe will be a fine-handling car because it should be stiffer than the regular Z4, which already handles sweetly enough. To be produced at BMW's plant at Spartanburg in America, the first vehicles will be developed to customers as early as June. Still on the road, but looking for a little leisure, over 1 million people are registered with camping and caravan organisations in the UK alone, showing the market for outdoor activities. To meet this demand, the London Caravan and Outdoor Show had over 200 exhibitors showing the latest in caravans, canvas and mobile homes.
Obviously, the appeal of caravanning and motorhoming is the fact that you can just take off whenever you want to, so flexibility is important. And in today's sort of like busy lifestyle, you know, you don't necessarily want the hassles of flying abroad with a family, or, you know, and going through all the delays possibly at the airport that we've been experienced recently. And you know, caravanning and camping offers quite a bit of versatility. You can tow whenever you want to, hook up whenever you want to. At a moment's notice, get the kids involved, and you know, just nip off into the countryside. And if the weather's not nice, of course, you can then hitch up and move on.
Today's caravans have modern amenities as customers get more demanding and want home comforts when they're on holiday. Luxury model caravans can cost the price of a small house. The Fifth Wheel Company have only been making caravans for 3 years. Their caravans are hitched directly onto the back of a vehicle and have won design awards from the UK's Caravan Club. Inside, their products are 25% bigger than traditional caravans, and they have a higher standard of finish, which is attracting buyers.
People aren't specifically looking for us. When they find us, they see that this product suits their needs the best. You'll get most people come to look at a caravan, they'll come to look at a motorhome. Because we're new in the market, when they see the product and they weigh up the benefits, that's when they're sold on it.
Each caravan and four-wheel vehicle costs between £55,000 and £75,000, and demand is strong. They make one a week and already have orders 9 months ahead and feel their market is growing.
People that are, you know, in the position now, they want to tour Europe, they want to tour the UK, and that's where our market is. We'll be doing horse trailers as well on this concept. So it's the leisure industry as a whole, really.
For those on a smaller budget, trailer camping is growing in popularity. These trailers don't take up much space when not in use, can be towed by much smaller cars and simply open up on site, providing accommodation for between 4 and 8 people. SK Camping specialises in such equipment and also feel their market is growing as people change their holiday habits.
The demand's getting more and more with the rigours of the modern day world we live in. We're not going away on our 2-week holidays anymore. We tend to be going for long weekends, 3 or 4 days at a time. We're not going away for the 2 weeks. And we're spreading it out over the year. With something like this, it depends on the weather. If the weather looks good, you could go away that weekend and have a short break.
The show attracted 40,000 cashed-up visitors. SEMA is the premier American automotive products show. Las Vegas hosted some of the automotive industry's brightest minds and hottest products, and the show attracted more than 100,000 industry leaders from over 100 countries.
SEMA is a Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association. That's what it stands for. The show's been around for a number of years, and it really is a place for people to showcase all the aftermarket kind of equipment.
SEMA drew attendees to its 2 million square feet of exhibits where manufacturers of sound systems, performance parts, body kits and customizing equipment displayed their wares.
This is where you're going to see every product, every showcase of anything from wheels, tires, anything you can put on a vehicle after it's purchased. And for those of us that are car guys and car girls, this is the place to be. I mean, you're going to see it all.
Automotive technology is growing at a rate faster than ever seen before. From hydrogen-powered roadsters to military vehicles equipped with anti-terrorist gadgets, manufacturers race to bring the latest and best gadgets to cashed-up buyers.
We didn't want to just make a cool car or cool truck for the SEMA show this year. Our project team wanted to come up with some sort of theme, give them some kind of motivation to build it.
The show is divided into 12 sections, each showcasing a variety of new features. There are also educational seminars, product demonstrations and networking opportunities. One of the most exciting exhibits at the show was the introduction of the US military's new anti-terrorism vehicle, Smart Truck.
Smart Truck is a US Army program in which we were trying to find commercially based automotive technologies that would have dual use capabilities.
The vehicle is designed to be the next wave of military technology. Aside from the top-mounted machine gun, most of the weaponry on the vehicle is non-lethal.
We have a perimeter defense system that's capable of administering pepper spray as well as smoke obscurant. We have the F-class systems, which is a RPG interceptor type of technology based off of acoustics technology.
This year boasted over 1,100 new products and innovations. The car industry is entering a stage of advancement formerly existing only in science fiction, and SEMA is the leading place to witness some of the most exciting developments in automotive technology. So, whether you're doing as you're told in the desert or getting up close and personal at Daytona, so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.